I was wondering if you thought the election of Barack Obama was going to make any difference to the situation regarding the death penalty in America.
Yeah, that's a big question. I think the answer is yes, but it will take time, and the death penalty depends on the United States Supreme Court. So one of the biggest things, two things Obama can and will do, I think. He'll change the complexion of the Supreme Court as people need to be replaced, and he comes up with more liberal appointees. He equivocated a little bit on the death penalty in the campaign, probably with Dukakis in mind, if you remember how his campaign was derailed some, whenever it was, 20 or 30 years ago. The other thing I think that will happen under Obama is a general change in the climate, that America will become a more compassionate place, and we're already seeing the first signs of that. And that will feed through in international relations and also domestically, I think, and it'll become more acceptable to think what at the present time for many Americans is unthinkable. But in some ways the tide is flowing against the death penalty now because of the cases of actual innocence that have been uncovered, because it's so expensive to execute people. The legal cost far exceeds the cost of life imprisonment. Because so many people come off death row, obviously manifestly being incorrectly sentenced, and because it's all a bit grisly to play this cat and mouse game over 5, 10, 15, 25 years. What does sway popular opinion is if people are given the alternative of life without parole. But I'm afraid I see that as a tiny step up the moral ladder from the death penalty. I think it's just about as bad and almost worse than the death penalty, because many of the men find living with the prospect of not getting out unbearable and try to take their own lives. Not many of the men, but some people do. So I think a big shift needs to take place in the United States opinion. It is out of step with the rest of the world. There are not many countries now that use the death penalty, and recently there was a speaker over the United States talking about 13-year-olds who are sentenced in the United States to life without the possibility of release. Only country in the world that does it, the United States. 13-year-olds. And they get reclassified by the court as adults for the purposes of sentencing. So that, I think, is such an abomination that it's the sort of thing one would hope that in a more compassionate Obama era would perish, and that serious consideration would be given to the advisability of the death penalty.